Well, hey there, thanks for stopping by. And if you're new to my channel, welcome. I'm Robbie Greer from Rusticated Art, and this is Fun Times Family Art, where you get to draw along with me, sitting in the comfort of your own home. Now today I'm going to show you how I use the grid method in my drawings. Now I find it's a real easy way to get everything in place. Now I never try to do photorealistic drawings. That's not my scene. You know, as far as I'm concerned, if you want photorealistic, take a photo. But I do try to create as realistic drawings as I can. So I just find that an easy way to do it, that's all. Now I'm going to leave a link. You can actually upload your picture to a website called Art Tutor Grid. If you just Google that, it'll take you to it. And so long as your picture that you upload is under 4 megabytes, you won't have any problem. Now be sure to stay till the end, because not only will I be giving a shout out to a very special channel, but also I'll be showing you all the tips and techniques that I've learnt along the way. So what do you reckon? You ready to get started? Well, come on then. Okay, so here's the printed out copy of it. Now obviously we're going to be doing it in grayscale. So because it's up and down, a lot of the drawing lines up with the grid. So I think we're going to be pretty well right. Of course what I like to do is I just start with, we just do the outline first, and then we slowly work away. Now it hasn't got the top. The printer for some reason didn't print the top out. So there's a bit across the top here, and there'll be a bit to go on the bottom. But anyway, this was the main thing that I wanted to get in. So, and once again, we're not going to be following the reference photo exactly to the T. It's only a guideline. We're not trying to do photorealistic. We're trying to do realistic, but not necessarily photorealistic. If you want to do photorealistic, take a picture. That's what I always say. Anyway, it's just a guideline. So the first thing we're going to do, and I'm going to be using my HB mechanical pencil. When I look at it on my screen here, we're going to start over here. It goes up. It's about just over halfway. And it's going to be 3/4 of the way across. So it's sort of coming down like that. And it's going to keep coming down. I like to mark so I can see where I'm actually going. So it's going to come down to there. And then we come down to the third grid, and it's going to be about to here. So that's actually coming over a bit, be about just under halfway. So we'll say there. And in here we've got a hinge. So that's going to go in there, and then that'll come across to about there, because it actually comes in there too. Anyway, we'll come to here, and that's going to come just below line 3, or grid 3. But that goes back up there. Now we've got the inside there. See, this has been cut out. Obviously there was a rail going through here originally. And then we just come down. We're going to come down to about there. And about the same space. Just got to keep an eye on this because, as I say, this here has been cut off at the bottom. So, and you've got your hinge sort of here. No, that's not right. So we shall rub that bit out. Right, now rub that bit out. Now what happened, when we look here, I'll try and keep it so this lined up together, right? Because that sort of comes a little bit of higgledy-piggledy there, that's right. But this outside line will come down here, and then it goes out, and it comes just about in contact with that grid line there. And then as it comes down here, about halfway, it's going to actually go over the line, and then it just stays outside that grid line. The our grid's not lining up quite as it should because of the fact that I made them different. One was 4 and one's 4.5, but that's fine, that's right. We know what we're doing, I think. And then that comes over, because there's a hinge in here. Here's that hinge. So that comes over to there, and then that tapers off. Now on the other side, come down, and we'll come down about here, and it comes in. I'm just going to do the main line, and it comes out, and then it comes down. And it comes down, and then number 5 sort of comes around like this, and then we've got a little bit that goes around up there, like that, but this carries on. It's sort of in shadow there, and the same up here. It's a bit more prominent than that. We'll bring this here, and that's more prominent, not quite sharp as that. And in the shadow you can see where that comes down there. Right, so that's the post to start with. Now, there's like a little, I suppose I could just go out and have a look at it. It's only outside the door. But there's like a hollow in there, and that's quite prominent. It comes right down to there, and there's a bit of a slither there. Now, the next one, which is about here, yes, just above that. Now, we can always adjust it. Nothing's in concrete at this stage. Usually that's what does happen. We're going to be running along this line here, just there. So this comes down here, bearing in mind that there's a hinge here, but that's all right, we'll put that in after. We'll get the main lines in first. So in there, and then we're going to go to about there. That'll come down to here. Just sort of crosses over, comes down there, out, just on that line there, and then it just sort of gradually just comes out. So that's the first board. Of course, around here there's the other hinge, so that actually comes down here like this, and there's a piece coming around here, right, and it's slightly on an angle, and it's come slightly over halfway. So I would say that that's where their board's going to be, right? So we're going to come down here, because that's going to come across here like this, and down here, and we just stay. It's pretty close all the way down actually. We might just move out a bit because I don't want it to be too small. That's coming down to here. I'm not worried about the bottom at the moment, I'm not worried about the top at the moment. Alright, now the next one drops down even a bit more, and that virtually follows that line right down. Just a little gap. And that one goes across to about there. And it's lower than this one here. Okay. Now this one has got a bit broken out of it. So, and it's going to come down to 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And it's coming down here. Yeah. Now the board next to it comes across here. So that one's a little bit higher up. And that goes just to right onto the edge of that. And that's going to end up coming through about there. I might just use my ruler here just to see if it is lining up. Oh yeah, that's pretty good. And this side is about the same. See, that's where these roller rulers are good. You just put a bit of pressure on like that, roll it over, and that's your mark. And roll it back, and it's exactly the same, it hasn't moved much. Alright, now the next one is going to be here, and that's about the same height. But this one's really higgledy-piggledy, it's good, I love it when it's like that. Alright, and this one goes just to there, and then it just comes through there on that side of the line, and it just slowly comes out. So that's sort of in conjunction with that, draw that down there. Alright, so there we got our basic outline. We come down to 1, 2, 3 here, and just below there, this is where we find the cross piece that's going, holding up. That's what the boards are nailed to. So that's behind the fence, this bit here, or behind the gate is what I should say. And this is just getting it, approximately in the right places. Now down here on the last board, so we would have, just guessing this, and that's going to come down through there. Right, that's going to come down here like this. So it can be a bit confusing looking at all the lines and that, but you just got to play around with it, rub it out when you have to, and you just come back to it again. And just putting roughly there's broken there, we'll come back to all that. Just getting, as I said, we're just getting in the outline of everything. Right now, we've sort of just got things placed where we want them. So I'm going to put the garden fork in here now. So really, we're just going to come down here. The main thing is getting the angle right. So it's going to come down to about here, by the look of. So the angle, this here, that goes there. So as we can see, the hand coming through here, and there. Yeah. I'm just sort of playing it by ear here. So that's roughly about the handles, sort of like that. And remember, we can always rub things out, we can always change things around a bit. If we've got something a little bit wrong, it doesn't matter. I'm just going to draw a line there. Well, mind you, that doesn't look too bad. I thought it was going to be way out. When I look at it properly, it's alright. So okay, we'll stick with that. There will be some adjustments to be made, that's fine. Not too bad at all. I'm going to love getting into the detail on this, so you're going to love it as well. I don't want to start on any of that just yet. Now's sort of a good time to start looking at rubbing out bits that we're not going to need. For example, in there, in here, get these lines out of the way, because they can get really confusing. For as long as I've been doing this, I still get confused. You know, that's not quite how it should be, but well, I won't tell if you don't. Now, I just want to sort of lighten that line up a bit because it's a little bit, I pushed a little bit too hard. Because when you're using a mechanical pencil and using the ruler, a very precise line, which we don't want to see. Now, believe it or not, I'm actually using a kneadable eraser here. My blue tack was I forgot to get some more like I was supposed to get last week. And for some reason that's actually very pliable. It's the first one I've had like that. The ones I've been getting in the past have been like too hard. But that's really good. Right, now, just want to get the angle of the garden fork. Because what we've got here, it will come in about there. Now, this here, I might just use a smaller 0.2 lead. Now, this lead is so fine, so they break so easy. Is that going to get into focus? It's a 0.2 lead, so that is really fine. So what I try to do if I'm using it is to keep the lead, I'm going to focus, as close as I can. See that bit you can see there is not the lead, it's what holds the lead there. So I've only just got it sticking out. And the reason is I see it is because they break so easy. So we want to come up to about there. And that's the actual fork itself. There's a little gap between the fork and the handle. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to use my set square, because this is the angle that it's on. If I come down here like this, holding it pretty close to it, I need to sort of figure out where I want it to go, I suppose. But let's say about there. Yeah. And then we'll just come down here. Might just want to come around a bit more. That's all right though. I'm just going to just put this in. Just freehand it. Now this fork, for some reason, is only sort of like a half, cut off halfway. There must have been a reason for it. Okay, so now I'm just going to take those lines out now. We don't need them in there now. Now I'm going to use a wooded pencil for this one. Put this line in. And I'm just see I'm going just sort of backwards and forwards, because I don't want it to be too, well, the only way I'll get that really, really straight is with a ruler, and I don't want to use the ruler because then it'll become too straight. Same here. And of course the mechanical pencil is very pointy. So I know I should have my glove on here, but I will get it out so I don't smudge all this. Like once we start doing the shading, I really would have to have my glove on. Alright, well, we'll just put a little in there. We'll put the hinges in now, so I'm going to use my set square because I want to keep them as square as I possibly can. So now it would appear that this is going to go just above that line at the top here, and it will go the edge there, and then it comes up. That's the hinge bit itself. Now it looks like it's crooked, but it actually follows that line down. It's because the actual hinge itself is a bit crooked, so that's what's given the impression that it looks to be crooked. Yeah, I get it. That's got to be rubbed out a bit there because it actually comes down to about here. And it starts off on that line or just over it, but it finishes on that side of the line. Now for some reason at this point here we experienced some technical difficulties with the audio. There was two tracks playing over top of each other, so I don't know what happened. So all I'm doing here is I'm just trying to put in the hinge. So you'll see my hands going in different directions for some reason. Okay, so we're just going to put in the top hinge now. It just goes just onto that board across the gate there. I've got no idea why my hand is moving there. We're just having another look at the actual reference photo. Now straight away I can see we've got a problem because that's not really marrying up, but that's fine. I think what I've done, I made that a bit big there. So just go in there, it's alright. We'll rub that out. It always helps when we rub it out, we can see things a bit clearer. Because, you know, like I said, even though I've been doing this for quite some time, I still get confused. Probably should have just made a straight line there. Anyway, brush away the crumb. I know what I'm going to do here. What I'm going to do is we're going to go like that, because that's how it seems to be. And this bit in the middle is where the actual, where this piece, what would you call that, is connected to the hinge. So it's probably, it looks like it's not straight, and it isn't, I don't think, but that's because this here would be so old and loose that this has dropped down and that stayed on the post, but the actual gate has come down a bit. You know, that makes sense. Yeah. And this will probably actually come over a little bit more. That makes a bit more sense now. Because we've got holes in here. We've got one up there. And we've got one there. We've got one there. One there. And there's something over here. I'm not sure what that is. But anyway, that's what we've got. So that comes down there like that. Alright, now we'll move on to the bottom hinge, and then I think we'll just about call it a day. So, we'll just put that there, and then we want a little line there. There's a different hinge from the other one, and quite often you'll see that in these old structures. I think they just use whatever they put, get their hands on. Yeah, this one comes to about there. And it comes about there, and just line that up. There's a little bit of intricate stuff in here. I'm just going to turn that around. Remember, we're just doing the outline and a little bit of the underdrawing, but most of it's just the outline. And this, I'll just go over that. We don't want the line too straight, do we? And there's sort of like a little gap going on in there, so we'll go, and it goes right through to the end. We've got a bolt on here. It looks like a bit of a square bolt. Not too worried about too much detail at the moment. And that comes down. I'm just going to place where it should go. And there appears to be a hole there. Something like that. Now I'm going to use my smaller pencil here. I'm going to use my 0.5. Like I say, I'm just going to place things, and we can just about see the edge of that. We'll rub this bit there out. Alright, I think that'll do us for today. Well, I'm so glad you made it to the end. I really appreciate that. Now this drawing was a little bit more of an intermediate type drawing, but really it's really a simple drawing. And once you get the hang of the grid, it just makes it so much easier. And of course next week we're going to be doing all the shading in. That's the best part. We've got over the ugly part now. I reply to all your comments. So if you have a question, just leave it in the description below. And share your pictures with me. I'd love to see them. You can either email them to me. My email address is in the description as well. Or you can go to my Facebook page and go on to Messenger and send them to me through there. I really would like to see them. Now this week's shout out goes to a very special channel. And that's it right there. Harry Kane's Art and Crafts. Now he's based in the Philippines. And he's a pastel artist. Oh, he does beautiful drawings with his pastels. Look, you got to go and have a look at it because you really will enjoy it. And not only does he produce beautiful pastel drawings, but he also has a craft side as well. He does all sorts of things with crystals and pendants and stones. Well worth the visit. So check him out. I'll leave a link in the description below as well. Well, I hope you're enjoying my series of Fun Times Family Art as much as I'm enjoying sharing them with you. And remember, a family that draws together stays together. Well, that's about it for this week. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.